For the past 2 seasons, White Bear Lake Ultimate has emerged victorious as conference championships, and the last time they attempted a three-peat, it was the Mahtomedi Zephyrs standing in their way. Once again, as White Bear Lake looks for that three-peat, they'll have to erase the last time they did this and defeat Mahtomedi as they look for the three-peat. Here at White Bear Stadium, my name is Alex Westab, pleased to be bringing you this ultimate game here, the Classic Suburban Conference. As you take a look at our weather here, 79 degrees, partly cloudy, a significant wind coming out of the southeast. You see as we push in on that flag there, you'll notice it is very windy. We'll talk about how the wind may just affect the play here tonight. Again, this is the 6th straight year the conference championship has been held in the new Classic Suburban. As we take a look at some of our players, there's senior Danny Powell, who's played in this game 3 years running since joining the Ultimate season. As you hear the player introductions here, one of the unique features about having this conference championship game at a football stadium is you do have the luxury of having those lineups announced, which is something that normally would not happen in a typical Ultimate game. And now we look at the Mahtomedi players. You see there's Matt Freeman, the senior, as his nickname is Weasel, one of many seniors on this Mahtomedi roster looking to win for the first time in this conference championship game since 2015. Again, we mentioned that the last time that Mahtomedi won, White Bear Lake was looking to go for the three-peat, and it was Mahtomedi who upset them in that game to win the conference championship 3 seasons ago in a co-ed sport. As you look there's another senior. That's number 23. I'm looking for the name on the roster. It's Casey Hoffman. We'll be calling her name a lot tonight, as she is one of the leaders on the Mahtomedi Ultimate roster. As the players are introduced, they'll go to the sidelines. We won't have any national anthem to bring you here tonight, as you'll notice that at the halftime, as you can see there, White Bear head coach in his second full season as the head coach, that's Curtis Kamek, will air the interview that I did with him on the Coach's Corner. We'll air that for halftime. We hope you stick around and join us. He is also nominated for All-Conference. We'll also have the All-Conference announcements. As you may have been following on Twitter, the names that got leaked out for those who were nominated for All-Conference. I have the results. We'll share those for you live at halftime. Again, we want to thank you for joining us here on SEC Sports, our final broadcast of the school year. We'll have some thank yous that we'll get to as time goes on, and we want to thank you for joining us live on SEC. It'll be Mahtomedi to pull here, meaning White Bear Lake will receive, as Mahtomedi will pull from left to right. As you look at the boundaries, it's tough to tell. More significantly, it looks like it's the black lines all the way down. End zone's a little bit bigger than your typical football end zones. The players will go on both sides to kind of communicate with the players and help us mark out where the boundaries are. It looks like it is the black lines, a little bit narrower than a football field, but the end zone's certainly bigger, a lot more room to score in. As it'll be Mahtomedi again to pull off here in their black and red mall uniforms. A little bit different than the blue and gold you're used to seeing for Mahtomedi. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Lots of Ultimate information to share with you. If this is your first time watching, we'll be glad to share some information about Ultimate with you. As the mall will throw a nice line drive disc that hovers high into the air. They'll set down right about the center of the field. Not a great pull for Mahtomedi to start, and White Bear Lake will look to start their offense. Against a man defense here, the Bears starting to move the disc upfield. Throw on the side, Kinseth Hicks. He's been dominant in the 3 previous appearances we've covered of this conference championship game. A drop and a turnover there. Freeman will look to set it the other way for Mahtomedi. Freeman will take a step from the disc, something that Ultimate players will do to give the offense a time to set up. Freeman will pick it up. They'll go H-stack in the middle of the field. A leaping catch attempted there, and another turnover can be picked up by White Bear Lake, as that'll be Colin Laffin who take it on the near sideline. Laffin defended by Freeman as they're forcing the throw up the sideline. A nice throw there for Kinseth Hicks. A great running catch to keep it alive. Hicks, as we'll have a discussion here. One of the unique features about Ultimate is that it is self-officiated, so it's up for the players to make the calls on the field. just like that tennis broadcast that we did a few weeks ago. It's much the same in that honesty is key. Throw attempted for Powell goes out of bounds, and we'll take it back in where it went out. Again, another judgment call by the players on the field. Mahtomedi will once again look to set up in the V-stack. Held in on the home sideline. Looking for an option as you hear the count going up. High throw, could not stay with it, and that'll be a turnover there for White Bear Lake. Again, one of the features of Ultimate is there is something similar to a shot clock in basketball where there's a stall count where the thrower has to throw the frisbee within 10 seconds of the defender, also known as the marker, coming up to play the disc. White Bear Lake now in the center of the field. Looks to spin it down but couldn't handle it. Freeman will look to set up the offense again for Mahtomedi. You hear them chanting to stay chilly, asking everybody to slow down. One feature that can plague Ultimate players at times is running just a little too fast and not letting the play develop. It's held in low as Kruger tried to put it to the corner. A nice catch there. It was made by Hoffman. Hoffman dumps for Freeman low. Nice centering pass and a great opening possession there for Mahtomedi. They get on the scoreboard first, 1-0. A very well executed play there by Tommy Stonehouse to find the open man. As you see there, Hoffman looking for the dump, was able to get it to Freeman, and then just a ton of space on that far side, and a perfectly aimed disc for Stonehouse who had evaded the defense. That was a nice point for Mahtomedi to get on the scoreboard first. As it looks like, as I look over to the left, they will put the goals up on the scoreboard, which is of course helpful for our graphics. Another thing you may notice is that the two teams switch sides after each point, where this time Mahtomedi will be moving to the end zone in the west side of the stadium, and the Bears will head to the end zone in the east. Huge opening point for Mahtomedi, and we'll see if they are able to respond. Again, we talked about the wind being a factor. Looks like it's blowing from the west end zone to the east end zone, so there'll be a lot of downwind points. It'll be up to whichever team can score the first upwind point. That may be the determining factor in this game. As we wait for the kickoff here, Scotty the Hottie Kruger. Again, we want to thank Mahtomedi for giving us their player nickname. Certainly something we don't normally see in other sports, but of course that's what makes Ultimate so wonderful, is that you do that get that difference. As Hoffman pulls it high, hovering into the air again, you see where that wind really keeps it up. It'll go out of bounds, and in Ultimate there is a special rule for that, where if the disc goes out of bounds in the fly, they'll call what's called a brick. It used to be you did a safety-esque symbol over your head. Now it's just a fist in the air. What that means is they'll bring it about 15 yards out of the end zone, and they'll put it right in the center of the field. As you see, former SCC volunteer Casey McCloy working the sidelines for Mahtomedi. Of course, still helping us out every once in a while with camera. He certainly did so this year. Great throw for Powell in the center of the field, looking for an outlet, dumped it back where it can be kept alive now. Trying to navigate as they'll work out of their own stack. Impressive mark defensively for Mahtomedi. Swung across the field. They'll look to keep it alive. Take the hammer. Interior pass. Hicks gets to it first for White Bear Lake. Powell again. Some great flow now for the Bears. They'll keep it swinging as it can be held in now by Lucio. Lucio's put. It might hang up there. It will. And that ties the game up at 1. As the great put there for Tom Herrera ties it at 1. That was a great put for Pereira. The disc was in a position where only the White Bears player could get to it. I was going to say skater, but of course nobody's skating here tonight. A great catch for Pereira, and that's the exact answer that White Bear Lake was looking for. Again, though, another downwind point for both of these teams as you see that disc perfectly put in the corner where only Pereira could get it. And of course, you see the celebration there for the White Bear Lake Bears. But again, Mahtomedi chooses to call himself the Mall. Of course, taking a lot of Star Wars references from that, the black and red jerseys. And for White Bear Lake, they chose to stick with the Bears. The orange, white, and black new jerseys this year for White Bear Lake with the orange at the top fading into a black. Certainly a better looking jersey than any of the jerseys that I had when I played for White Bear Lake Ultimate. As you see the clouds creating a picturesque landscape here. You couldn't draw it any better yourself. This time it'll be White Bear Lake to pull. Powell waiting on his own end zone. Again, when you're pulling to start a series of play, you can stand anywhere in the end zone. You just have to throw the Frisbee before you cross that line. And the line drive throw from Powell to try and get some distance and pin Mahtomedi back in the corner. They'll pin him on the line. A quick action here by Mahtomedi to start. Hoffman with a disc, looking to dump it back as there's Kruger again. Kruger navigating the stack, trying to set up the offense. Looking for Hoffman to try and swing around. Pretty good defense. Hoffman, though, gets it. Cutter's not giving much options here for the Maul. The way for the put here. Swung across now. Hoffman has it again on the home sideline. Forcing the play is now White Bear Lake shifts to almost a cup-style defense. We'll talk about that in a moment. A good throw there. Finds the open receiver. Dangerous catch, though, made by Mahtomedi. Quick to the disc are the handlers once again. We'll throw it back. Kruger swung for Hoffman. Looking for the outlet as the cut made there. Throw not attempted, though. Just a half step behind. Dumping it off for Kruger. Again, there's a weakness deep, and Mahtomedi will take advantage of it, slowing it down. As that was a nice catch there by Luke Lazowski. And Kruger has it now as they'll look to set up. Kruger for Hoffman again. Tried to swing. Nice fake there by Hoffman. Kruger swung it to the far side. A great fake there. Kruger gets it again. Music playing for some reason. Not something that we normally see in Ultimate, but keep play going. Kruger swings it again onto the far side. Had an opportunity, chose not to take it. And Kruger has it again. So it goes now here to Hoffman. Swung and a one-handed catch attempted there as that was, looked like it was going for Lazowski, but again, they tell you to put two hands on the disc, and unfortunately that one didn't quite work as now the Bears look to capitalize. Powell has the Frisbee, defended well. Swung across, couldn't handle it, and Mahtomedi will set up their offense again. Looks like they'll continue to go with that vertical stack formation where they all get in a line, except this time they'll switch to horizontal. Where they'll go all across the field. One member will make a cut, then a second, then a third, then a fourth to try and give the handlers some options. Pin on the far side now Hoffman left for Kruger again. Kruger looking center of the field, a perfect throw, but just dropped by Mahtomedi, and the Bears can turn. And a deep put is Jason Wynn rushing back, uncovered. Great catch by Wynn. I'm not sure he was over the line. They'll say that he wasn't, and they'll set it up again as the Bears and the Zephyrs run down the field quickly. Another throw, and there's a point for White Bear Lake. Great effort by Jason Wynn to catch the huck. And it's Colin Laffin who buries the opportunity, and White Bear Lake leads this one 2-1. That was great awareness there by Powell to put the disc where Wynn had beaten the defense. Oftentimes you'll hear the defense asking for one man to stay back. As you see the turnover, and then immediately, that's not Powell rather, that's Zach Beauclair who saw the opportunity, took advantage and put a perfect Frisbee right for Wynn. Wynn has speed. He was able to lay out and get that disc. He was right on the end zone, but as they'll say, it wasn't in all the way, and luckily, White Bear Lake was able to get down there and stay chilly so that way they could set up and create another point for White Bear Lake as they lead this conference championship 2-1. You notice that timer on your scoreboard, or on your screen rather, is counting down. In Ultimate, there is a limit of 100 minutes per each game. More times than not, that's because there's no lights at the stadium. However, because we are at White Bear Stadium, there are lights. However, they will still keep that 100-minute limit. As far as when we get to halftime, it'll be the first team to 8 points. And then after the half, the first team to 15 with a 2-goal lead will be our winner. Again, White Bear Lake, since the inception of this conference championship game, has made it every single year, 6 straight appearances for the Bears with 5 championships. 4 championships. I can do math. Mahtomedi, the only other championship between all the teams. And there's only 3 teams that ever made the conference championship while the Classic Suburban was around. It is White Bear and Mahtomedi. But then the only other team to make it was the Hudson Frisbees, who made that conference championship in my first year in 2016. Freeman, a long put. He had the defender beaten back. You'll see if he can read it. Puts it up, and it bounced high in the air as he was looking for Connor Lil Dog Henningsen, the senior, to try to get there, but it was defended well and read well by White Bear Lake. Nice put on the sideline, looking for Powell again. Powell, as he finds Kinseth Hicks deep, able to catch it, slows it down, tried to put it. Great job of staying chilly to avoid the turnover. Hicks dumps it onto the near sideline, looking for a corner shot, and that's another point for White Bear Lake, as that was Dennis to get to the disc on a great set of flow there by White Bear Lake to give them a 2-goal lead. Absolutely great movement of the disc from Hicks to a handler. I couldn't quite see the number who, and then to get it to Dennis to be able to bury that chance for White Bear Lake. And that's what makes the Bears so lethal on the flow, is that they're able to move the disc well and find the holes in the defense, and that was how they were able to capitalize on that opportunity. Again, if you've been a loyal subscriber to formerly On Location TV Late 19, now SEC Sports, you'll remember that ever since we've begun broadcasting this game, I've been with you for that. Again, a little bit about my experience. I played Ultimate in this White Bear Lake program throughout high school. Played Collegiate Ultimate too with the University of Minnesota. All in all, about, what would that be? About 8-9 years now of playing Ultimate and being one of the guys that you see on the field here tonight. Of course, the jerseys now a little bit nicer now than they were then. As we take a look at that another goal again, you just see how well the Bears were able to move that disc, as it was perfect for Dennis. A nice effort there by Mahtomedi to get the deflection and try to knock it down, but the throw from Lucio to Dennis, a fantastic play there for White Bear Lake, as again they look to assert their dominance in this conference and on this stadium as well. Of course, only the 3rd year that this game has been held at White Bear Stadium. Otherwise, it was just up the road at Sunrise Park Middle School on the fields back behind the school. And we'll get the pull here as Hicks will pull it. Another line drive, looking for the center of the field. He'll come to a stop there, and Mahtomedi looks to spin on offense very quickly. White Bear Lake running out of a zone defense, also called a cup defense. Great split of the zone, though, to find a hole. He'll swing, looking for Freeman. A great dive and catch to get to it. Freeman looking for a cut inside. Kruger wisely goes through it to try and keep play alive. A swing for the far side. That's one of the ways that they tell you to beat the cup, is to swing it, because you have 3 guys that are moving around from handler to handler. The turnover there, though, gives White Bear Lake a chance. But if you swing it from side to side, that's 3 defenders that will not be able to be covered, and that gives you extra time to throw the Frisbee, because if nobody's close to you, then they can't start counting down, and you have more time to make a good throw without the pressure. Throw to the inside, spun back. White Bear Lake looks to keep play alive. Zangman, who had it. Inside now for Powell. Powell, the senior, dumps it back, as we'll get I believe a pick call here. Tapped in, Powell gets it back again. Looking for the far corner for Hicks, and a dive. He couldn't quite get there. That was a good opportunity there for White Bear Lake to see Powell, maybe actually a perfect throw from Powell, just too far for Hicks, and Hicks couldn't quite extend to get that. As this time, one of the more tricky plays to do in Ultimate is trying to get the disc out of the corner. That's exactly what Mahtomedi will have to do here. Spun. Kept further as they'll work the sideline. That's one way to do it. As White Bear seems to be giving up that sideline. Fakes the hammer. Kept alive now. They'll continue to work slowly up the sideline. Spun across. Kruger had it. Got it to Casey Hoffman. Back in the center of the field. Kept alive, looking for motion. Again, some players look to use or try to use gloves to get a better grip on the disc as they're catching it. Unfortunately, from my experience, not the best thing to have when you're throwing, but certainly while you're catching it is helpful. Sideline again for Hoffman. Mahtomedi looks to keep working up that sideline. They've been efficient so far on this rush. Freeman tried to get it. They may say it was out of bounds. Again, it's up to the catcher to determine if the disc was out of bounds or not. It looks like this time Freeman will say it was not. There'll be a discussion as it'll go back now. If there's a contest where a player on the other team feels as though the call was wrong, what they do is they have the disc go back to the original thrower and they just play it again, which is something that I usually do and when I may be a substitute teacher in gym class. I didn't see it, just do it again. Throw it to the middle. Now Mahtomedi has a chance for some flow and a dangerous turnover too low. They'll contest it. I think he'll say he caught it, or he wants to say he caught it. I'm not sure on that one. I think it touched the ground first. We'll look at it for sure here as there's the discussion on the field. Again, great flow by Mahtomedi just to get the Frisbee up, but just a wobbly throw. You see, oh, he did get there. A good call, and Mahtomedi will continue. Freeman turns it over as he was looking for Kruger. White Bear Lake again trying to get a fast offense back the other way, leading this one 3 points to 1. Low by Mahtomedi. May have had a little bit of physical contact. It was a little bit too strong. Of course, Ultimate a non-contact sport. You see all the players taking a knee when a player is down. See, that's number 77 again, Scotty the Hottie Kruger, who's down. Looks like he's standing up as we take a look at the motion from White Bear Lake to work it up the field. Again, just a little bit of a knee contact there. Hopefully Scotty's okay. Again, you'll notice that all the players are down on a knee out of respect for the player who got injured. Again, a big part of Ultimate is that spirit of the game. Kruger will come to the sideline for a substitution. Another rule of Ultimate is that you cannot sub players on the fly. You have to wait till between points. The only exception to that rule, of course, in the event that a player is injured and feels as though they cannot continue in the game at that point. So he'll be replaced and play can resume. Looking for Powell again. Dangerous through the middle of the field. Unfortunately, no trainer here at White Bear Stadium either. It's all up to the players and the coaches do have to be first aid certified so they can attend to their players as need be. Nice throw looking for the center of the field, just out of the reach. As I was looking for Tony Lucio, the senior. In my conversation with head coach Curtis Kamek, Lucio was one of the players that he liked to talk about as making significant strides this season towards improving the White Bear Lake Ultimate program and as far as himself as a leader on this team. And as a result, he wears the captaincy for White Bear Lake this year. A long series of play without a point. Nice pass led for Freeman, who picks it up. Defended by Wynn. Freeman opting for a University of Minnesota hat this year as opposed to the Washington Nationals one he had last year. Powell gets the turnover as they were looking to go deep. Powell, as Mahtomedi will force straight up, no hucks. Goes to the center of the field. Be held now. Working up the field, Wynn has it. Looking for an outlet. He's able to dump it back. A nice dump for Engman. Crosses will swing to the far side. Looking to find Lucio again. Lucio fakes a nice line drive, too far for anybody else. And he looks like Lucio may have forced that throw, and that gives Mahtomedi another turnover. You see the disc there sitting at about the 28-yard line. Freeman will go to play. For Freeman, senior. Long-time dedicated player for Mahtomedi Ultimate. An Eagle Scout in Mahtomedi's Troop 89. Where other notable names as we get a turnover there. White Bear head coach Curtis Kamek, an Eagle Scout in Mahtomedi Troop 89. He's 68th, or the 69th rather. And the throw there, they may have been out of bounds. We'll see if they celebrate. Looks like they will celebrate, and that play will be good. And that'll be Will Hank who gets the point right on the sideline. That puts White Bear Lake up 4 points to 1. So you can see the throw there. Defended well, a little bit too straight on. You got to force up the sideline there if you're Mahtomedi. And Hank looked like he got 1 foot in there. as Hoffman was trying to defend, and that gives White Bear Lake the 4-1 lead. Looks like we'll get a coaching opportunity here. As you see, we do have some drones hanging over the skies here at White Bear Stadium, supervising the action here on the field. Again, a perfect Friday evening in the month of May. Last year, cold, rainy, not ideal ultimate conditions, but as far as ultimate goes, you really can't beat this. And again, when the teams meet at the state tournament in just a few weeks up in Blaine at the National Sports Center, they're hoping for weather similar to this. When you look at tournaments in years past, you can talk about the rain and freezing cold that White Bear Ultimate encountered, and Mahtomedi Ultimate too for that matter, in our sophomore seasons. There are times when we huddled up inside of tarps and our coaches would be feeding food to us to the openings. I mean, that year, as I look on at the action here, we had so many cookies because when you're an ultimate player, sometimes that's just what your diet is. Cookies and juice boxes. Play will continue here as White Bear Lake will pull, as you see assistant coach Jordan Farley there. Farley's been with the program for quite some time. He was a coach when I went through the program and went through, many of the current coaches went through as well. Coaching the A team as it was known then, the varsity team now. Again, head coach Curtis Kamek playing all 4 years of high school here in this program under former program director Jeff Hagan, who has since moved on to bigger and better things. Of course, still active, though, in the White Bear Lake Ultimate community. As we await the pull to get this 6th point of the game underway. And that'll be Engman to throw off for White Bear Lake. Long throw. As that was Krenkelberg, rather, to throw off, as that disc goes just into the corner, right on the line. An active throw. We'll see if Mahtomedi can get out quick. Freeman, a perfect curve to get the disc further up the field. We'll see what happens. A long put, looking deep. He's got a man back, and it's just too far out of bounds. As Nathan Gabriel had some chance and had a place to catch it, but unfortunately the disc just a little bit too far out of bounds, as he had certainly beaten the defender Tom Pereira back, and that could have been a huge point for Mahtomedi. They scored first, but White Bear with 4 unanswered now here in this first half. Swung across, now Krenkelberg has it. Krenkelberg, throw over the middle, too far as Hicks was cutting in to try to get it. A nice cut from Hicks. And unfortunately, this goes to the sideline, and again, White Bear Lake will try to play him to force the play up the sideline. We'll see if they go with the zone defense here or if they will go to man on man. That's exactly what they will do. So this keyed up now in play. Running out of time, looking for a cut. He'll throw it. There's a man back deep unopened, and it's just a little too far out of that back end zone. And that'll be another turnover here for Mahtomedi. Of course, what happens on a turnover when the disc goes out of the end zone is oftentimes that team will have the opportunity to take it all the way back out to the front line of the end zone, and they can play it from there. Otherwise, if it lands in the end zone, more likely than not, they do have to play it from where it landed. And of course, that creates the opportunity for something called a Callahan, where if there's an intercepted pass that results in a goal in the end zone. A little bit too fast there on that opportunity, as that was Jack Brash, the sophomore, looking to try to make a catch. It was a nice throw, but just thought about the throw after the catch. And now Mahtomedi again with the short field. Kruger back into the game now. Kruger, as Freeman gives him a nice cut. Well-angled disc. Freeman makes the catch. And Mahtomedi gets back on the scoreboard. 4-2, White Bear Lake. That's a huge point for Mahtomedi, as it was a play on the sideline that Kruger just had to make the cut. You saw Freeman leading by example, making the cut for that disc, and it was angled perfectly. What you can do with the Frisbee is that if you tilt your hand up slightly, you can get that rotation on the disc, so that way it arcs around just like a curveball or a slider would in baseball, and it's able to avoid the defense completely, especially when you're on the sideline. It has the opportunity to do that. A great throw from Kruger and a great catch by Freeman to make the cut and consistently stay with it. As we take a look at that, you see that angle that he threw the disc at as it was coming out of his hand, where his hand, instead of being level like they traditionally tell you to, it's tilted up where he can throw it around the defense. A perfect play on the sideline there for Mahtomedi to get them back in the scoreboard here. You see the wind still a factor, less so end zone to end zone, more sort of sideline to sideline now. It's a 2-point game, a close game. White Bear Lake and Mahtomedi, both very strong teams in the state of Minnesota. Again, not a Minnesota State High School League recognized sport as of yet, but most high schools in the metro area and even extended beyond that have teams. Edina's a powerhouse, as is Hopkins. Hopkins being a team that starts players at 5th grade playing Ultimate. And again, there's not quite sure the number on that one. I think there was a player who came in late. And again, one of the rules of Ultimate, again, the uniforms don't have to look the same, but as long as they're similar, that works for them. White Bear Lake looking to get back on the scoreboard. Powell caught the disc. We'll get a stoppage. It'll go back, perhaps a pick or a strip called. Again, a pick is similar to a pick in basketball, where you're not allowed to interfere with another player's movement. As Powell puts it for Wynn. Again, Wynn a deep threat for White Bear Lake. Wynn stays, waiting for his offense to catch back up. Confusion in transition as Powell has it now. Powell swung for Hank. That's Lucio, rather. Lucio a throw, and he's able to catch it his own. He's able to do that. That's a great play by Lucio. Again, if it hits somebody else first, you're able to catch it, and that's what they'll agree on. Lucio put for Powell. Powell, corner of the end zone. Win. He's able to catch it. Great flow off the delay, and that's White Bear Lake 5, Mahtomedi 2. Again, a bit of a miscommunication there, as the players weren't sure if that point would be allowed to stand. But again, if the player, just like in football, was to throw a pass and it would be deflected by anybody else, he's able to catch that frisbee, and that point can be kept alive. As we look at it here, again, you see Lucio defended well by Mahtomedi. A nice close mark, forcing the forehand, thrown up in the air. You see Laffin knocks it down, and Lucio's able to get it right there. As you see the communication, where again the players have to talk about it. It's a very social sport. As you see Curtis Kamek and Jordan Farley doing some coaching now on the sideline. Of course, we haven't talked about the Mahtomedi head coaches this year. Of course, both coaches, first-year coaches for Christian Thompson and Joe Simonelli. Volunteers, these coaches are, not paid by the school. They do it for the love of the game, as many of these players do. Five to 2, White Bear leading. They'll be throwing from left to right across your television screen. Again, 1st to 8 will force halftime here. Again, we want to thank you for joining us all school year here on SEC Sports for all of our broadcasts. And we'll talk about some of the highlights that we've had this year. There's many. Be sure all our Sports Path broadcasts, the interviews that we've done on Coach's Corner. It'll be White Bear Lake looking to throw again. It's Krenkelberg now, as he'll start play here on this point. Dave Metzel, Tim Sager, Damian Johnson, Curtis Kamek are 4 appearances on Coach's Corner, and we certainly hope to continue that again next season. As a frisbee, not a long pull. It should be a moderately sized field here for Mahtomedi. Freeman picks up the disc. White Bear Lake reverts back to man defense. Freeman will dump it off now as Hoffman has possession. Hoffman is a cut in. It's a little bit too strong. And one of the Mahtomedi players wearing a sweatshirt, a little bit too strong there, is Ellie Mila. Just not with the best hands on that play. We'll still get another chance to try it again, of course. Go up the middle. Powell jumps to get to it. Powell defended. Throw to the corner. Freeman's able to pick it off. Freeman does have to play it from that spot, however, and he'll throw it down the field, perhaps a little too quickly. It's turned over there now where White Bear Lake can get it. Lucio swung further on the far side. Krenkelberg Frankelberg back for Lucio. White Bear Lake very close together. Hicks now. Hicks, the cut specialist, as it were. And up on the sideline, Pereira looking for a cut. Back for Lucio. Lucio with space for Powell. Powell marked as Hicks beats the defense. Hicks has the catch. 6-2 rather. White Bear Lake in front. That was pretty good defense for Mahtomedi. Again, just a little bit too far off the mark. And that is a perfect disc from Danny Powell. And Kinseth Hicks, as we've seen before, has his speed and the athleticism to get to that disc. He's able to make the catch, and a great play there for White Bear Lake. Again, as we mentioned, this is our last broadcast of the season. We do want to thank our volunteers for volunteering all season long. You see a couple of them up there. If you'd like to volunteer for us in the 2018-19 school year, call 651-747-3821 or email arlen@scctv.org. Well, you see Brian Henshin doing his best moves before hopping back on the headset. He's one of our camera operators. He's been around all season long. We also have Ian Felix and Lisa Senapol up on the cameras there. As there's Lisa, I believe. We also want to thank the guys in the truck, Dean Gross, Arlen Becker, and our producer Anthony Miller, for their continued support of White Bear Lake Ultimate and our Fab Four teams. White Bear Lake, as you see the corner of our truck there, there's a beautiful shot. Look at that wrap job. Absolutely wonderful. Hang on, there are students that are visiting me from the window that do not realize that we're doing TV right now. So we'll be back. Again, you'll notice that the players on the field are talking, and you see the students. Hi, guys. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, students have decided that I am the best sub in the White Bear Lake District. I don't know what it is, but that's what it is. So again, we want to thank those folks for helping out all season long, and for on the cold nights at the hockey rinks or the hot soccer matches at the start of the season, or even when we experimented, we did some tennis. We want to thank those guys for continuing to be part of our broadcast and part of our team. We can't do it without you. And we're certainly glad that all people were here to help. Again, White Bear Lake up 6-2 here in this one. Mahtomedi scored first, and it was 4 unanswered from White Bear Lake. Again, as we take a look here at a slow-mo somersault, or I believe we had it. Again, great moves by Brian down there in the corner. Wait, here he goes. He's going for it again. There it is. Yep. You may not like it, but that's what pure athleticism looks like right there. As the timeout has stopped on the field, we'll get back to action here. Again, 6-2 your score here at White Bear Stadium. We started out here last August on the 24th with a soccer doubleheader. White Bear versus Hill Murray on the boys' side. And then it was White Bear Lake versus Centennial on the girls' side. We had plenty of highlights in soccer this year where, when we think about the matches that we had, a intense matchup between White Bear girls soccer and Mahtomedi girls soccer that was played out here. We also think about Mahtomedi versus Stillwater with an extra time goal, an overtime goal that gave Mahtomedi a huge win on their path to the state championship. Think about football, Mahtomedi in the snow and the cold over at their home field against Tartan in the state or the section championship game. Again, as we look at Curtis Kamek down the sideline again at halftime, when we do reach that, 2 points away, we'll air the interview with White Bear Ultimate head coach Curtis Kamek. We'll also have the all-conference winners for you. And that'll be something that I know we're all looking forward to here on SEC Sports. Other highlights over the course of the year. Tartan boys hockey on a fantastic run. I had them as one of the more dominant teams in the Metro East Conference before falling short to White Bear Lake in the section semifinal. Again, White Bear Lake beating Hill Murray again for the first time in 7 years. We would be remiss not to talk about that. Lacrosse teams doing well, both the boys and the girls sides, especially Mahtomedi. Parton looking to do well without Mr. Hockey winner Sam, or Mr. Lacrosse winner Sam Lindahl. As we'll save those conversations for later, the disc back in play, and it'll be Freeman to receive it again. It bounced before it got to him, so that disc can be played. Kruger now, runner through the lane, back for Freeman. Freeman for Hoffman. Hoffman through the middle. A nice catch there. This play can continue as Stonehouse has it. Stonehouse dumped it back for Kruger. Kruger holding as Stalkout gets it down. Hoffman had an opportunity, couldn't find a cut to use it though. Hoffman swung in a great defensive play by Kinseth Hicks to knock that Frisbee down and set up a chance here for White Bear Lake. On the far side, Lucio will have it. Lucio has Powell and is a little bit overcommitted as Powell gets that Frisbee. It's 7-2 White Bear Lake. Well, you saw the put there. It was a pretty good play for Mahtomedi as they had them pinned back. However, just not close enough to Powell to make a difference. As you see a good throw from Lucio, airing that ball, or that disc rather, high over the defender's head where only Powell could get it. Great throw and a great catch by Powell. The Bears go up now by 5 points. Again, 1 point away from halftime. More coaching going on as players seem to be walking across the field. Again, that state tournament, June 2nd and 3rd. All Ultimate teams everywhere across the state of Minnesota will be at that tournament over in Blaine. A fantastic 2 days of teamwork, camaraderie, Ultimate, running over to local restaurants to stack up on food before games. Certainly one of the more exciting experiences in sports. And this again will be halftime should White Bear Lake score on this point. Mahtomedi can extend the half by scoring again many times as they would like to.
Press passes from the booth for $50. Checks made payable to Brian Murphy.
Again, we'll have all the conference championships and the all-conference nominations as the throw underway. It's high, it's arcing. Again, the wind carries it just a little bit. It will touch down just about the 38-yard line. It can be played now on the near side by Mahtomedi. The disc is in now. Kruger putting it deep. Has a man back. It's hovering up. This might be contested. A great catch. Play can be continued. Great defense by White Bear Lake. Sending it back now. Hoffman ran it in. She'll take it back out. Hoffman in the far corner. Just needs one completion. Couldn't get it, and he holds it in. A great catch there by Mahtomedi. As a man choosing to wear the sweater, Bryce Seronius Schrager is able to make that catch and make it a 7-3 game. That's, they talk about the long plays being difficult. Sometimes the close ones can be too. As you see, Hoffman did run the disc in. She's able to take it back out. Good awareness. Good sportsmanship as well, as Hoffman just waited for the cut there. As Bryce is able to haul it in, tumbling down to the turf here. As you can see, an interesting choice to wear the sweater and the pants here in a 80-degree day. But for a lot of players, you stick with what you've been wearing all season, and with the snow and the cold, I guess that's just what Bryce chose to do. So we've got some more coaching going on here. Again, Mahtomedi making some strong adjustments. Again, Christian Thompson and Joe Simonelli doing that. Again, follow our social media pages. We're available on all major social media. As you can see, there's a parent out there in the stand. She's got her phone. She's thinking about it. Facebook.com/SCCTV, Twitter.com/SCCTV Sports, Instagram SCCTV, YouTube SCCTV. You see, there is somebody who's giving us a follow on Twitter. Again, as we mentioned before, and you saw at the Open, you can follow my Twitter account, AlexSCCTV, for your Fab 4 updates, occasionally the random professional sport tweet as well. See, there's some more interactions. He's watching our YouTube videos, our conference championships in Game Pass. We have had some good ones. This one's certainly living up to the hype as well. Again, all our information is there on the screen for you. Certainly come on out, give us a follow. Interact with us on all the social media. We want to hear from you. As Ultimate pulls it, or as Mahtomedi pulls it, again to land center of the field. It'll be a short field for White Bear Lake as they look to force halftime. Powell, he'll pick it up. Powell looking for Hicks. They'll get a call back, as I believe a travel was called, so they'll pull it back. They'll do it again. Powell looks for Hicks again across the center of the field. Hicks trying to find Powell. Powell gets it. Takes a couple of steps. Looking for the center of the field. Looking for Wynn. Wynn not open. So he'll cut on in. Great action on the sideline as it can be gathered now by Engman. Engman looking for a put. Engman around the screen. Powell almost knocked out of his hands. He's able to throw it, and a great play to send us to halftime. Danny Powell, without even touching the grass, able to put it to Hicks. And that's how we end the first half with White Bear leading 8-3. See the action here. Powell with a great effort, even better defensive effort. Powell running out of bounds. He's able to catch it. And look at that effort by Hicks to reach back. Even though he's moving the opposite way, he's able to get to that Frisbee and make a fantastic catch going to the ground. Great defense by Noah Harbinson as well for Mahtomedi just to get there. Now with that in mind, we have reached halftime. It is 8-3. White Bear leading this 2018 conference championship game. It's at this point in time we will get the all-conference team, as well as the Coach of the Year and the Rookie of the Year. And it'll be Cody Melhorn making the announcement on SEC Sports.
All right, so real quick, 1, thanks for coming out. 2, we're going to announce the 2018 Classic Suburban Conference all-conference squad. So we have 6 teams in the conference. They each elect 5 voting representatives that then vote from a series of nominees that exemplify spirit, camaraderie, and competition throughout the season. So best of the best, both on and off the field, skill and spirit combo. So without further ado, your 2018 all-conference winners. If you hear your name, come down here. You get some swag from Breakmark, and then we'll do some photos. From White Bear Lake, number 27, Tony Lucio. Also from White Bear Lake, numero 1, Kinseth Hicks. Number 77 from Mahtomedi, Scott Kruger. Also joining Scott from Mahtomedi, Casey Hoffman. And Maul goes 3 for 3 with Matt Freeman joining them. And from Stillwater, Carl Bohacek. Let's hear it for Carl. Can one of you guys come down after this and grab his shorts? All right, from Woodbury, Josie Vuk. The next couple aren't here, so clap really loud so they hear you. Derwin Badewa. Also from Woodbury, Yared Yonathan. And lastly, from White Bear Lake, 29, Danny Powell. So that's our all-conference team. We also have a Rookie of the Year and Coach of the Year. So, Rookie of the Year, from Mahtomedi, Ronan Lathrop. All right, not here. Bummer. And your 2018 Coach of the Year, Curtis Kamick from White Bear Lake. So, real cool. All these folks and the ones that aren't here will be eligible for all-state voting at the state tournament in a couple of weeks. So pretty sweet. Let's hear another round of applause for our all-conference winners. Also real cool, SEC TV Sports is here. They're broadcasting live this year, which is awesome. And it's raining, so look out.
Well, that is the 2018 All-Conference team. Again, you heard the Coach of the Year, Curtis Kamick. We'll air that interview for you now here on SEC Sports. Hi everybody, welcome here inside the 4th edition of Coach's Corner here on Sports Path and SEC Sports. The snow has finally melted and activities have begun to move outside. So our edition of Coach's Corner this time, I'm with White Bear Lake Boys Ultimate head coach Curtis Kamick. Curtis, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
Let's start a little bit with some of your experiences that you've had in Ultimate. Of course, we went to White Bear Lake High School together, we graduated together. Tell the folks at home a little bit about your experiences in Ultimate.
So I've been playing Ultimate for about 12 years now. I started as a freshman in high school, played all throughout high school. Then I went to the University of Minnesota Duluth, and there I played for another 4 years. Played club for 2 years, and then now I've got into coaching.
So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what got you into coaching, and especially in this White Bear Lake program.
So I was lucky and I got a job in White Bear. So it was nice and close to home, so I knew the people in the program, so I could easily come back and coach. And then I really like the game, and I love teaching it. So that's why I wanted to get into coaching.
So you've been a coach in White Bear Lake now for a couple of years. What's your most challenging aspect of coaching so far?
We have a pretty short season. So we start in middle of March, and then we go to the first weekend in June. So it's a pretty short season, so we got to cram a lot of knowledge into a short amount of time.
And speaking of cramming knowledge into that short period of time, describe how a practice for an Ultimate program might look like.
So typically you're going to do, warm-up jog, plyos, and then you're going to get into drills for probably the majority of it, just working on different skills, maybe some strategy, offense, defense, things like that. And then the last portion of it, you need to scrimmage, so kind of take what you learned in that practice and then apply it to game situations.
So what does a successful player in practice look like to you, and how does they translate that onto the field?
Someone who just is at practice consistently, giving a lot of effort, open to new ideas. Most people we coach end up coming from other sports. They've never played Ultimate before, don't have a lot of experience with it, so they have to be very open to learning new things. A lot of skills that transfer a little bit, but are just a little different than your typical sports.
Well, as we mentioned in our open, the sun is out and the grass is finally visible again. Talk about the effect that weather has had on your program and the practices that you've been able to run.
It has been tough. We were in the gym luckily we got gym time through White Bear, so we were able to use the gym time, but we were 3 teams crammed in a small amount of space. So we made the most of it, and we're just really excited to be back outside.
So how did the practice plans modify from being outside to being inside?
So normally our practices are 2 hours, and they got shifted to 1 hour sessions. And so practice time was reduced, and then just a significantly smaller space. Our end zones are 20 yards by 40 yards, and that was about the size of the gym we were playing in. So we lost about, we're down to a fourth of a regulation field.
Now, we've been covering White Bear Lake Ultimate for a couple of seasons now. We've seen them in the conference championship game every single year that they have been in it. Curtis, talk with us about your players to watch in your varsity or even in your junior varsity and your women's teams.
So we've got some great players to watch. Starting with my team, the boys varsity, we've got captain, this is his 3rd year being a captain, Danny Powell. Just a fun player to watch, really likes to have the disc in his hands, a lot of quick movement with him. Kinseth Hicks is another one. This is his 1st year being captain, but he's a big, strong, athletic player who loves to jump over people, sky as we like to call it. And then we've got Colin Laffin and Tony Lucio, who are both our senior handlers, also captains, and they do a lot of the throwing and just, they're kind of the point guards of the field.
The next question I wanted to ask you is, you see sports right now, there's tennis practice going on right next to us, there's lacrosse that's options as well, baseball, softball. What makes Ultimate a little bit different of a sport for somebody who might be interested in participating?
So one very different thing about Ultimate is it's a self-officiated sport. So every player on the field is a ref, essentially. And so, and the whole game is designed around the idea of spirit of the game, which basically boils down to sportsmanship. So it's just a game that's based on sportsmanship. So everyone around the game is just playing off the idea of everyone's out here to have a good time. You don't want to intentionally cheat. You don't want to intentionally do anything to make it a bad time for anyone out on the field.
And do you think that has a positive impact on the game?
Yes, definitely. Spirit of the game is crucial, and we've heard a lot of feedback with different players that this game is just so much different than other sporting experiences they've had.
At the start of our interview, you mentioned the numerous years of experience of Ultimate that you had here in this program and then the University of Minnesota Duluth as well. Talk about how this program has changed since the first time you played here as a freshman in high school.
Well, one, our coaching staff. When I was playing, we were lucky to have one coach per team. Now we're looking at 2 to 3 coaches per team, which is amazing. So we can do a lot more one-on-one coaching and really get through more. Like I said, we have a short season, so the more coaches you can have giving that information, just the more information you can go. And really the skill level has increased. I don't know if I could keep up with some of these high schoolers when I was playing. The game has really grown, and it's really fun to see when I was in high school compared to what it is now. Just amazing how much it's grown.
One of those changes, of course, the addition of lettering at the high school level, and then additionally the welcoming of a women's program here at White Bear Lake High School. Talk about how that change has helped boost this program.
Oh, it's great. Having a women's program is awesome because a lot of times, not that women can't play with guys, but sometimes it's tough for them to shine. And so now that we have a women's program, it's really nice that our top players can be the top player on the field, no matter what.
And of course, the last question to wrap things up, Ultimate, a new developing program all across the United States. Talk about what advice you would have to different coaches or different players.
If you have the time, it's a great experience. It's a great way to get outside. That's one of the big reasons I do it. It's fun to help players who you can relate to. I relate to these people because I was in their shoes at one point. So it's just really fun giving back to the community.
We want to thank head coach Curtis Kamek for joining us here on Coach's Corner. Curtis, thank you for joining us and welcoming us out here to your practice.
Thanks for having me, Alex.
This is your home for White Bear Lake boys, girls, and junior varsity Ultimate SCC Sports. They say in Minnesota, if you don't like the weather, stick around 15 minutes. It'll change. In the 15 minutes we were gone, it turned from sunny and beautiful to rain. And you wanted to see Ultimate? Well, here we are. Back at the start of the second half, you've missed about a minute and a half or so. No real breaking news to have. 8-3, still your score coming out. Again, my name is Alex Westad. Thank you for joining us here live on SCC Sports for the Classic Suburban Championship game here in Ultimate. White Bear currently has the disc as they started the second half, throwing down to the opposite end zone. Deflected nicely by Mahtomedi, and they'll get a chance to capitalize. You did miss some nice catches, some nice defensive plays on both sides. That's okay. Ultimate's full of those. And again, we'll talk about the rain and the conditions on the turf now, as it is still a light drizzle now. It was a downpour that came seemingly out of nowhere. Of course, the disc is a little bit wet now. We'll see if that has an impact. It has on a couple of opportunities so far, both ways. Throw down the center of the field, tripped him up, and he couldn't quite get to that. As it falls back down and low, now Zach Beauclair will have a chance for it. Beauclair got it further ahead. Now we're Krinkelberg. Shoveled it over, a turnover as it went right into the hands of Henningsen. Kruger now, one of the all-conference winners, Shot to the corner. Couldn't quite get there as it's knocked down by Beauclair, and White Bear will have to take it out of the corner. Looks like the rain for the most stop has started to ease up. Into the center of the field now, C.J. Swanson has the disc. Got it back further, Krankelberg. Swung now. Can be controlled by Andrew Allen. Back now by Swanson. So get a discussion in the field. Again, self-officiated sport. The rain subsiding. Again, a freak rain shower. Not quite sure where it came from, but sent lots of the fans flying as a disc down the length of the field, knocked out of bounds. Keep it going. And it was able to be knocked down as they were looking for Pereira, who had a man beat, but it was able to be knocked down by Kruger, defending well. You see lots of fans taking shelter by the concession stand. Closed tonight, unfortunately, so no hot dogs for you. A turnover in the center of the field gives White Bear Lake another chance. In a short field, Mahtomedi will have to play man. You'll notice all the White Bear players going to the back of the end zone. They call these ISO plays, where they will have some sort of a name that they'll shout out, and one player will make a cut. As you saw there he goes. He's able to hold on, and that's a point to start the half for White Bear Lake. Perfectly drawn up play for, I believe it's Eldred Dennis, the junior, as they isolated him, and he made a great cut to get open and to catch that disc to start the second half here for the White Bear Lake Bears. Again, 9-3 now. Mahtomedi trailing in this one. First team to 15 with a differential of 2 is what will be the winner. Again, in this 2018 Classic Suburban Championship game. As we said before, White Bear Lake Mahtomedi faced off last year. Again, they faced off in this conference championship game every single year except for one. White Bear Lake is 4-1 in those games. Let's look at coaching going back on the far sideline. Again, the all-conference team announced at halftime. If you missed it, Tony Lucio, Kinseth Hicks, and Danny Powell for White Bear Lake getting the all-conference nominations. For Mahtomedi, Scott Kruger, Casey Hoffman, and Matt Freeman all getting the nod. Some others from Stillwater, Woodbury, other teams. You see the beautiful rainbow in the skies above White Bear Lake South Campus. Over the concession stand, our truck. And we do have, believe it or not, a pot of gold. And no, that is not the Lorna Dunes that Arlen normally brings. Get some more conversations here on the sidelines. Again, despite the rain and the weather, a very lively crowd here at White Bear Stadium. As they'll wait for play to resume. Again, the music keeping the energy up for everybody. I believe they've been playing it most of the game, except for maybe the first couple of points. Again, as you hear the public address announcer Brian Murphy targeting the Freeman family of Mahtomedi. As play will resume here, Mahtomedi will take control. Held on that far sideline, they'll look to swing. Kept alive, looking for a cut through the center, turns it over Powell, playing defensively in the zone, able to get control. Spun it across now. It's controlled there by Laffin. Laffin inside for Powell. Powell put to the corner, looking for Hicks. He's got room, he's got 2 feet in, and that's a point for White Bear Lake. They take a 10-3 lead. And they're the first team to double digits. Another point for Kinseth Hicks on a great put to the corner. Again, the only way that Hicks could have gotten that one, as you see they're celebrating there. Looks like they're either taking gold out of the pot or something like that. Anyway, we'll take a look here at the throw. Laffin again for Powell, and a perfect throw, just high enough where only Hicks could get it. He had the defender beat pretty handily. Lazowski for Mahtomedi. He's able to add to his legacy in this conference and in the championship game for sure. And we'll get some more coaching here as Mahtomedi's players look to return to the end zone. Again, our last broadcast of the season here on SEC Sports. We thank you for our support over the year and at the different broadcast sites. We love interacting with everybody on Twitter, on site, anywhere and everywhere that we can. We love hearing from the community because that's why we do this. We do this for you. Wherever you're watching, thank you for continued support here of SCC Sports and White Bear Lake, Mahtomedi, Tartan, North St. Paul Athletics. As White Bear Lake will pull here from left to right across your screen. 10-3, White Bear leads. White Bear Lake took the 8-3 lead into the halftime. Mahtomedi scored first in this contest before White Bear Lake seemed to have pulled ahead. A long line drive from Krenkelberg. Can be played just off the home sideline. So swing it back to the center of the field where you really want to move the disc around. You have a lot more options in the center as opposed to if you're pinned up against the sideline. So here's Hoffman looking for a hole. Couldn't find one. Dumped back for Kruger. Kruger swinging back in, looking for Hoffman again. Hoffman as the defenders change. Hoffman looking for a cut. Needs more from her cutters than just. Seems to be standing there. A throw in the middle. Perhaps the rain affected that one. It'll be another short field here for White Bear Lake. Slowly looking to pick up the disc as that'll be Andrew Allen looking for it. Allen for Pereira. Pereira looking for the inside. Couldn't get it quite there as he was looking to the center of the field for C.J. Swanson. So Mahtomedi will take the disc back to the goal line, and they'll look to start up the other way again. Again, you see the wind moving slower now than it did at the start of the contest. Mahtomedi looks to take advantage. Kruger dumped for Freeman. Freeman defended well by Pereira. As Kruger has it now. Kruger with nowhere to put as White Bear Lake looks to run out of an augmented zone defense, covering the handlers, and this might be an opportunity for Mahtomedi to take advantage. A dangerous throw there. They had space, couldn't take advantage though, as Hoffman has it on the far side. Hoffman for Freeman. Some opportunities deep as both Mahtomedi players are back. Tripped up on the play. They may call a pick there. I believe they will, as they'll give Kruger that position on the disc. There's a conversation about it. I believe this will be a pick called against White Bear. Will be. Mahtomedi will retain possession. There's a man beaten deep. We'll see if they can take advantage. A size difference. Can he follow? He can. Great running catch. They'll see if they can capitalize. They will. A beautiful goal by Luke Lazowski. Able to put Mahtomedi on the scoreboard for the first time in this half. A great play to take advantage. So after that pick call, you see there, he did have the man beaten deep as the defender just simply couldn't stay with him as Krenkelberg tried to have positioning. He's able to shovel it over to Lazowski, who has plenty of space in the end zone, and a great point for Mahtomedi to get back on the scoreboard. We'll see if they can start a run out of this one, trailing 10-4. Normally an affirmative call, but here the score of this ultimate game. Again, you look at the clouds there, you can see that. A murky soup of gray, but again, as we pan to the right, you see blue skies. Hopefully that's it with the rain. Maybe a light sprinkle still going on. You see some of the water droplets hitting the bench. Mahtomedi awaits White Bear Lake to be ready. It looks like they are. And we'll wait for the pull as the defenders choose to mark up. What normally happens on these delayed pulls when both teams are waiting is the team with the disc is choosing who they want to defend if they're using a man situation. So what they'll do is they'll number off each of the players, and then they'll go from left to right saying which one they want to guard as to avoid the mismatches when they're on defense. That way they can set it up just like you would in a line change in hockey where the home team can pick the matchups that they want. That's exactly what happens on those pulls too, where you can set up the matchups that you want. Quick to the Frisbee now. Here's White Bear Lake. Thrown onto the inside. A very nice catch there in the middle. That was Will Hank who got there. Laughing, puts it to the corner for Hicks. Hicks runs it down. Play to the corner. Right, pinned up there, Freeman. Aggressive mark, faked the hammer, did Hicks. Hicks dumped back for Powell as they'll move Side to side, the hammer throw. It is in and out of the hands of Wynn. And that's a missed opportunity for White Bear Lake. A lot of times coaches will tell you not to throw that hammer, and I think that's the opportunity where you don't want to do that in that instance. Because if you throw the hammer, it can hang up in the air, and it doesn't have the control that it should if you're throwing forehand or if you're throwing backhand, the more traditional Frisbee throws. Freeman able to snag that one out of the air. In through the middle now as Mahtomedi starts to roll some of their players. Slowing down. Looking for the cut. Freeman as Hicks makes a great diving play to get there. Freeman may have called for a strip on Hicks. As Hicks, I don't know, likes that call, but he believes that he'll stay. Hicks will agree with it. Freeman will tap the disc in play. Freeman dumped it back now for Kruger. Kruger swung on the far side. A great running catch. There as play will continue. Pinned up on the far side now, looking for the outlet. They're able to find it now as Cryer has it. To Cryer's another communication. They'll send it further up ahead as they believe that there must have been some sort of transgression, perhaps a travel. So disc tap back in. Play can continue. Dump back for Kruger. So they really like to use their handlers back deep to try and reset the stronger throwers on the team more times than not. Cryer's able to get to it. Cryer. Mahtomedi looks to be clogging the cutting lanes. Being a little too close. A put from Kruger to the corner. It's going to hover up in the air. He has got 1 foot down. That may not be enough. So there'll be a discussion about it. I believe it is 2 feet down to constitute a goal. They'll talk about it. They will perhaps argue if he was pushed out or not. Of course, if the player is pushed out, that would count as a goal. Again, we'll take a look at it here ourselves. A great throw from Kruger to find the open man. That's Noah Harbinson. You see a great throw. You see that he does the splits right on that sideline. The play will count, and that's back-to-back points now for Mahtomedi, as it's 10-5, White Bear Lake leading. Great play just to keep it alive, and a nice stretch on the end zone, on that end line, to keep the play in bounds. Because, again, that was a great play for Mahtomedi to keep pushing this one. Again, you'll notice that timer continues to click down. If that does hit zeros, that will be the end of the game. Because, again, a 90-minute time limit was on this one. Or perhaps it's 100. I believe it is 100. Yep, that's correct. And we'll just keep it running here. So both teams return to their sidelines. Mahtomedi just cutting the lead to 5. Again, as you see the parent with the camera for Mahtomedi showing the picture of the catch, perhaps something that he'll use on social media soon. As the rains have returned at White Bear Stadium again. I thought we were done with those. Unfortunately, not. Again, as he said when we came back from the second half, you wanted real ultimate, this is it. As for most sports, they tend to cower away from the rain. Ultimate is played perhaps more enjoyably in the rain. Again, the rain's supposed to be delayed until tomorrow or Sunday. Appears to have made an early appearance. So it's certainly a downpour now. One fan to the right of the press box seems to be enjoying it, doing a little dance during the rain. Perhaps cool and refreshing, though, coming out of the press box. So White Bear Lake will look to get back on the scoreboard here, trailing 10-5. In the end zone, the pull from Mahtomedi. Hovering up in the air. Looks like he'll get some backspin to curve back to the center of the field. Could be gathered up now by Lucio, and they'll swing through. Krenkelberg holding the Frisbee. Puts it for the inside. A nice deflection there by Mahtomedi to knock it down as that Stonehouse to get to it. And again, Mahtomedi will look to take advantage of a short field. Kruger looking to the far sideline, looking for Stonehouse, racing back. He couldn't get it. It's defended well, though, by White Bear Lake, as Swanson was able to push it so that way Stonehouse had no chance at that disc. A good throw but good defense from the Bears. As I believe White Bear Lake will take this disc out of the corner. Exactly in the corner. What you'll do here is you want to play either no huck defense or force up the sideline. Mahtomedi unfortunately chose neither. Powell for Hicks. Hicks is able to make the catch through traffic. Dumped it back for Krenkelberg. Swung even further now. Lucio has it. There's Lucio. Looking at his shovel. Looks like it wobbled a little bit. May have called a strip. I believe that's what the call should be. We'll wait for conversation to continue. The throw goes back. Should be a White Bear Lake disc, and it will be. Perhaps not, as there's a conversation on the field. White Bear Lake will have control. Lucio has it. Lucio looking for Hicks. Underthrew him, doesn't matter. Hicks able to get there. Hicks dumped for Powell. Powell with a shot to the corner for Perella. He holds it in. And that's 11-5 White Bear Lake on a great catch by Tom Pereira. Well, I thought when Hicks was underthrown that play would go to the wayside, and Pereira able to be uncovered in that possession. Fortunately, if you do leave a player uncovered, that more often than not ends up in a point like that. We saw it where Pereira was able to get open and cover that part of the field, and a great catch and a great throw puts White Bear Lake back on the scoreboard, leading this one 11-5. Again, with the rains coming down again, you'll notice that many of the fans have chosen to seek the refuge of under the stands or perhaps their cars. As again, you see more coaching going on the sidelines. Again, this is not the last stop for either team this season. Both teams will play in the state tournament. Again, you see our camera operators have covered their cameras, but unfortunately going above the line, above the call of duty. No jackets for them. They are strong. And again, you see Brian there. Perhaps, oh no, there he goes. There's Brian. He's going to do his moves that he does. There's the somersault. And the kick for extra measure. Nice job, Brian. As we'll get playback on again, a light broadcast. We don't take ourselves too seriously here at SCC Sports. Looks like Mahtomedi will receive this throw. And they'll move left to right again. The downwind, although the winds have shifted a little bit, it looks like the wind's now blowing right to left across the field. Perhaps favoring White Bear Lake in this point. So Lucio waits to pull. He'll line drive it straight into the stands. Now this one's a little bit different, where if it was significantly out of bounds, as it was there, they can take it all the way up to the field to the point in which it went out of bounds. In this case, this could be a significant advantage for Mahtomedi, where they can take it maybe up to the 50, 40-yard line, perhaps further. They'll swing it all the way back there. It looks like another thing that they can do is Mahtomedi can opt for a rethrow. That's what they'll do here. So they'll send everybody back. They'll throw it again, try to get the disc in play this time. And counting down to under 25 minutes left to go in this one. Time should not be a factor, but it may. As Lucio got another chance. And into the windup. A nice throw. Held in, covered. Man, a dangerous possession there by Freeman. Again, if you drop that Frisbee on the pull, it is a turnover. A lot of times coaches choose to just let the disc drop and then set up accordingly. Here's Freeman. Freeman looking onto the inside, couldn't find it. Freeman swings. Held in on the sideline. Swinging, still keeping it alive. Freeman again further as they look to push up the sideline. White Bear returning to a zone defense. On the sideline again, interior for Freeman. They'll set up. Great defense from White Bear Lake, not giving Mahtomedi any options. Freeman puts it high. We'll see if anybody can sky for it. They can't. It's turned over. Lucio has it. He'll take over. Swung. Able to kept alive now. Powell has it. Powell, a deep put, left all alone. Racing to it, ran out of room. Unfortunately, not quite fast enough for Zach Engman. A great put by Powell, but just a little bit too far in front of Engman to give White Bear Lake another point. So quickly back in play now. Again, you see that perfect throw from Powell, just out of the reach of Engman by just a bit. It's one thing I was never able to do, an ultimate layout like that. And a turnover here for Mahtomedi gives White Bear the short field. No call on a play, isolate another player. We'll see what they choose to do with it. It's tapped in. That's Laffin who has it on the far side. Laffin spun back for Lucio. Lucio looking for Powell, couldn't quite lead him enough. It's a turnover in and out of the end zone. Mahtomedi will take control. That's Cryer now who has it. Cryer looking into a zone defense here in the corner. Not a ton of options here for Cryer. Cut up the sideline as they'll continue to work it there, as they had done previously very well in this game, where they've been forced up the sideline. They've been able to do that, maneuvering all the way into the White Bear Lake side of the field multiple times. Still held on the sideline now, Hoffman. Further for Freeman. Freeman fakes a throw on another. Looking for somebody to give him a cut. A lot of people standing around for Mahtomedi. Throw down low as he was looking to try to find the man in the center of the field. That's Sim Rye he was looking for. And Albedo Rye defensively against Lucio. Forcing a backhand throw. An interesting tactic when they're so close to the sideline. A good throw from Lucio as he beats the shift. Laffin for Lucio again. Able to get there. No opportunity for the corner. Lucio cut for Powell. And a great rush and a great point for White Bear Lake. Puts them within 3 of a conference championship. That's a very well executed play when you're forcing forehand, or forcing backhand rather, and you're able to take advantage by your strong handlers being able to put the throw right where it needed to be. Fantastic series of throws from White Bear Lake to beat that defensive play. As you see Powell making a cut with some speed, he's able to find right where he needed to be. And that's one of the hallmarks that Danny Powell has been doing for all the years that he's been playing Ultimate. He's been able to find those open corners. Again, as you heard in my interview with Curtis Kamek that we aired at halftime before the rains came. So it'll be White Bear Lake 12, Mahtomedi 5. Again, many people fleeing because of the rain. You see some umbrellas out there. Of course, many people walking around. This is quite the social event here, and it's certainly increased in magnitude over the course of the year. Again, those teams and players that were announced as all-conference will go on to be eligible to make the all-state team come June. Of course, certainly many nominees on White Bear Lake and Mahtomedi, both very deserving of that all-state nomination. But again, you look at the powerhouses in Ultimate in the state of Minnesota. Edina, Hopkins, Apple Valley is so strong they have two varsity-level teams. And an interesting throw here from White Bear Lake. It dies at the center of the field, knocked down by Mahtomedi as they look to take possession. Unfortunately, when the disc does land there, when it rolls, you stop it wherever it stops rolling. So that's just how it is. So a lot of times what I would do was I would intentionally get the roll going, where I would throw it into the air so that way it was angled and Mahtomedi starts a flow. But I would throw it so that way it angled, so that way it would roll all the way down. Because if it rolls out, it has to stay on that sideline. Whereas if it goes out on the fly, then you have to take it back through the center. So good players will take advantage of that. I think that's what he was doing there, but unfortunately he didn't get the depth on the throw, so that way it could be effective. Kruger from Mahtomedi puts it over into the center of the field, an open man. Mahtomedi will stay chilly. Back for Kruger again. He calls time out. That's also something that Mahtomedi or Ultimate players can do, is they can call a timeout in that situation to set up an end zone play, so that way they can get a point on the board. Clock continues to run inside. 20 minutes now left to go in this conference championship game. We'll get a timeout. Mahtomedi trailing White Bear Lake 12-5. Again, White Bear Lake looking for the three-peat They were denied by Mahtomedi in their previous attempt for the three-peat, although the Bears certainly well on their way to getting that three-peat of conference champion. What is the coach designing in this moment? Perhaps an isolation play. Again, we saw a couple of times where White Bear Lake had everybody on that back sideline. They picked one person to make a cut, and that was great. We may look to see everybody working on that goal line and then just making what's called a bum rush. Yes, I know, a very professional term, where they'll all start on the one side and then just run over across, and whoever gets open and beats their man, great. Again, we take a look now at the all-conference team. You see Tony Lucio, Kinseth Hicks, Danny Powell for White Bear Lake. You see Scott Kruger, Casey Hoffman, Matt Freeman from Mahtomedi. You also see some other names from Stillwater, Woodbury, and Woodbury Junior Varsity as far as players that have made it. Of course, not in SEC territory, but we still congratulate them on their all-conference nominations. Your Rookie of the Year, Ronan Lathrop in Mahtomedi, a freshman, making the team, earning that honor. And, Coach of the Year, Curtis Kamek in his second full season as White Bear Lake Ultimate head coach. It's his first time earning the honor as well. Again, all of those players will be eligible for the all-state team in just a couple of weeks. You see Curtis on the far sideline. As I am being told, he beat junior varsity head coach Brian Murphy as the point there for Mahtomedi gets them to within 6. And it'll be 12-6, White Bear Lake leading. It says on the scoreboard, at least so I'm told, that Curtis Kamek beat Brian Murphy out by just 1 point for that Coach of the Year nomination, Brian Murphy being the junior varsity head coach. But a great play there off the timeout for Mahtomedi. I get the point. Again, you talk about where you have everybody just zooming across the field to try to beat the man. That's exactly what happened on that play, where I believe, looking at my roster, that was Connor Henningsen who made the cut towards the home sideline. He had the defender beat, and that's exactly what you want to draw up coming out of a timeout, where an individual isolation play, you find some space, and you put it perfectly where only your guy can get it. Perfect backhand throw as well. Completes the point for Mahtomedi. Exactly how you draw it up. So the deficit 6 now for Mahtomedi, trailing 12-6 in this one. Again, the clock counting down. As we'll get some more opportunities here. It looks like the sky has cleared up significantly, so I don't believe we're going to encounter any more rain at this point. However, that's what we thought at the start of the game. It's been a perfect night for Ultimate. You've seen it all. The rain, the weather, the sun, beautiful. It's been a perfect night for it. And we're still 3 points away as White Bear Lake looks to clinch another conference championship. Mahtomedi looking to rally to bring it to within 6 and to make that deficit 0. Mahtomedi will throw, coming from the left end zone on the west end of the stadium. As we will await the throw here on this one. At some point, the disc in the air to signal that both teams are ready. A line drive throw. Looks like it'll touch down at about the 47. Can be played now. It's quickly up to the Frisbee now. Lucio will have it. Forcing to throw near the home sideline. Powell has it. Powell. Take the backhand. Swung onto the far side now. Can be grabbed by Lucio. Lucio inside. Dished off to Hank. It's Laffin now. Laffin looking perhaps some miscommunication there as he was looking for Powell or even Jason Wynn further back. And that'll go the other way as you see Laffin there with time. Beat the force and just no receiver home. You had a couple of guys that were cutting there but just not on the same page. A miscommunication error gives Mahtomedi a chance. To the inside, they'll continue to work the disc up the field. Again, pinned in on the sideline. Spun across now. Or can be kept alive. A nice throw to that far sideline. Further along now as they'll continue to work. Some great movement by Mahtomedi. They faked the huck. It's kept inside. So they'll continue to work now through the center of the field. Looking to go back across. Got to give them a cut, guys. Onto the far side now. Hoffman has it as they work over the center line. Hoffman looking for an outlet. Can't find one. Hoffman dumped it further up ahead for Kruger. Kruger has White Bear Lake playing back significantly on defense. Spun across the center of the field. Hoffman couldn't get that. They'll have to get back on defense. Hank trying to run for it. He had time. He's upset the throw never got to him. Goes back on the far side and a turnover. Lucio couldn't get there. That's why Hank was upset about it. He had the defenders beat, but he couldn't get there. And so another miscommunication by White Bear Lake may cost him a point. Kruger spun across for Freeman. Freeman pushed it ahead further now. Kruger has it again. Kruger quarterbacking this offense. Onto the far sideline. Kruger has it again. Kruger spun across the far side. There'll be a chance for Lucio. He can't stay with it. He gave up on it. Did the Mahtomedi attacker. And there'll be a turnover. Lucio will pick it up in his own end zone. Again, it's a pretty good put here from Kruger. And you see the size mismatch there. As unfortunately, he just gave up on it. Wynn, as the throw just goes a little bit too far. Wynn slow to get up on the layout attempt. Freeman has it now. Again, White Bear Lake reverting back to his zone defense. Cutting through the center. Couldn't find Kruger. Freeman swung it across. Let's look at a miscommunication. There seems to be some sort of a discussion way back in the defensive half of the field for Mahtomedi, because we're going to get a substitution here on injury. That'll be Hoffman who has to come out. Didn't quite see it. It was behind the play. Of course, certainly hope that all the players are all right. It was hot today. Hopefully everybody's drinking enough water. So the disc will be in the center of the field. Mahtomedi's half. You see 12 minutes and counting. We may hit that time limit here. We have then not seen that in years past. Throw too strong. Picked out of the air. Way to sky it laughing. As Wynn's able to get the continuation. Looking for Hank. Not quite fast enough on that throw, though. Wynn spun across Powell. Powell, I thought he was in. He's right on that end zone. Powell defended well. They'll force it to the center, and Hank finally able to get that catch. As that's Will Hank on the scoreboard now, the senior. That'll make it 13-6. White Bear in front with just under 12 minutes left to go. Again, that's the throw that you wanted Hank to be able to get to. Again, just a great cut across the center of the field where Hank was able to get to it, make that catch. He wanted it on a deeper attempt earlier, but perhaps the thrower didn't trust himself. You got to be able to trust yourself to make that throw. Maybe make a fake and then put it. But a great way for the Bears to capitalize on that opportunity. And Hank is able to get on the scoreboard 13-6 now. White Bear Lake leads this one. Again, the sun starting to shift down as you await the conclusion of this one. Again, we want to thank you for joining us tonight here live on SCC Sports. Again, my name is Alex Westad, joining you in the press box here at White Bear Stadium. The third such time we have covered this game since it moved to White Bear Stadium in 2016. As again, the players will start to move their way to the sideline. We'll look to continue play again. A great shot there of one of the Mahtomedi forwards. That's Anna Early, her nickname Lately. And Mahtomedi will set back up on the sideline again. White Bear Lake still has their coaches on the sideline. Players slowly starting to move, perhaps fatigue becoming a factor for all involved. Again, that rain kind of set everybody off and affected the vibe, so to say. And so we'll get a point here where White Bear Lake will pull. A nice throw from Krenkelberg, high into the air. Looks like it might hover out of bounds, but it's right on that sideline. A perfect throw. So it'll have to stay right there on the sideline. It'll be right on the sideline. There's a discussion about it. And this will be Sim Rye to play. And the disc is in. Rye has it. Rye, a put up the field looking forehand. Trying to sky for somebody. Krenkelberg will watch it fly out the back of the end zone. So Krenkelberg will take it all the way to the goal line. They're going to throw Mahtomedi looking to force home to throw towards the sideline on the near side of your screen. A nice throw. Hicks skies in as he's able to get it. Hicks spun it back. Krenkelberg. Cross. Nice effort there from Beauclair to get there. Again, still forcing home is Mahtomedi. Back now further where Allen can play it. Allen center of the field for Hicks. Hicks fakes one time. Another great defense there by Cryer. Pass over the center. Beauclair first to it. Beauclair looking to feed Dennis as a shot just couldn't quite get there. And a great put there, but Dennis unable to capitalize. As we look at that play there, you see Beauclair doing a nice job of slowing down. And then the throw just out of the reach of Dennis. A very well-aimed throw. But unfortunately, just a little bit too strong. And now Mahtomedi pinned up in their own defensive zone will look to clear out. Spun across. Cryer has it now. Cryer through the center of the field. Nice catch almost. As they were looking for Joe Miller in the center of the field. Couldn't quite find him. So White Bear Lake again with a short field. Center of the field. Into the air. Knocked down. Good defensive play there by Sim Rye. Here's Rye now. Rye. Nice throw. Looking low for Miller. Miller for Cryer. Cryer fakes the huck. Couldn't quite get there. Into the inside. Still held in. Dumped back for Cryer again as that was Stonehouse on the disc. Cryer inside looking again for Miller. Couldn't find him, and White Bear Lake will have a chance again. Approaching the disc now. Krenkelberg thrown across into the center of the field now as that's Pereira who has it. Pereira looking to reset. Nice running catch there by the Bears. Under the near sideline, opportunity on the sideline. Great catch by White Bear Lake as that's Carl Swanson who's able to get the throw off the nice flow for the Bears. And that'll be game point upcoming. Throw up in the air and you see a nice two-handed catch there by number 30, C.J. Swanson, who's able to sky that one. Get up in the air and get that. You see with the opposite angle. A little bit wobbly on the throw, but he's able to get up there, take it down. A nice catch puts the Bears within a point of hitting that three-peat. Let's get a final coaching play here. White Bear Lake looking to, again, go for that three-peat. Put this one away as they'll be working on an upwind point now. Again, a lot of coaching delegated. Curtis, in my experience, a more quiet, reserved coach, as you see both him and Jordan Farley working together. More times than not, Jordan will be the one that goes out and talks to the players. But again, Curtis and Jordan, they both work together. Curtis is more likely than not the head coach. But of course, with Ultimate, it's a very communal activity where all the coaches work together. And of course, they both trust each other's experience that what they have to say is still going to be the same thing as what they might say in their own situation. So 14-6, 6 minutes and counting here to go in this one. Again, when that clock hits zeros, the score will be final no matter where it is. I believe they do play out the point. So I'll await the conclusion and the resumption of this one as the coaches head to the sideline. And some more coaching as Mr. Farley needs to step off the field, and there he goes. And so for the game point, Lucio will have it. Mahtomedi looks to draw last blood, although it may not matter at this point. Quite difficult to score 8 points within 5 minutes. Lucio into the windup and the throw. Looking for a roll. He will get one. A nice roll all the way down. Stopped nicely, though, by Mahtomedi. Spun across. Freeman has it. Freeman against a nice mark into the center of the field. See if Mahtomedi can advantage. Freeman waiting a little. Dancing around with the fakes for Hoffman. Hoffman looking to make a throw, pushes it back as Kruger will have it now. Again, looking for some sort of a cut. Exhaustion a factor at this point. Almost nearing inside, 4 minutes to go. Freeman fakes the pull into the inside. Again, White Bears starting to give up those soft passes as opposed to giving up a big play. Hoffman looking for the opportunity. Kruger is able to get it on a short dump. Kruger moves it across onto the far side. This could be played further now. Noah Harvinson. So white play, Freeman for Kruger again. White Bear strong defensively, working again in a zone defense. Not a lot of opportunities all the way back as it goes in and out of the end zone now. Looks like there was some space on the far side, on the near side rather. Mahtomedi had a player open, looking deep for Wynn. Mahtomedi able to get back defensively though. Powell spun for Hank. Hank looking for Wynn in the center of the field. This may be the rush that ends it. Powell able to catch. Powell puts it up, looking for the end zone. He will reach. He did not get it. A nice throw as that was Jack Brash who had a chance to end the game right there. Unfortunately, Brash just could not hold on. Again, we talked about great flow coming into the attacking part of the field. Again, just not quite far enough for Brash to be able to get that. That could have ended the game right there. So now Mahtomedi pinned up against their own end zone. They'll check it back in play. Spun across, Freeman, center of the field, looking for Hoffman low. Nice defense from Wynn. This will do it, as White Bear Lake will have a short field. They'll set up. Mahtomedi will go to a man defense. They'll force a throw to the home sideline, even though I would force a forehand throw in this situation. Cutting across the center, looking. He couldn't capitalize. Well, they gave you the backhand throw. Unfortunately, just a little bit too high to the point where Engman couldn't handle it. And that'll give Mahtomedi another chance with the disc here with inside almost 2 minutes to go in this game. Kruger has it. Kruger thrown to the center of the field. Freeman looking to throw. Again, center, able to exploit the zone. Looking for a cut, thrown behind the receiver. Intended, knocked out of the air though. As I was Laffin able to get there, one of the captains for White Bear Lake. Laffin on the far sideline. Laffin puts it to the corner. Wynn completely unprotected. Wynn into the air. Knocked out nicely, though, by Mahtomedi defensively. Seemed as though the Maul had forgotten to go back to cover Wynn, and Wynn was left all alone in the end zone, but a great effort there from Kruger, I believe, to get back and knock that out of Wynn's hands. So they'll take it back outside the goal line. They'll fake a throw, looking for Freeman. Freeman caught it for Kruger now. Kruger, a nice low throw. Couldn't quite find it. Turnover. Lucio has it. Lucio fakes out the defender. A nice block down there by Mahtomedi defensively as Noah's able to get there. Mahtomedi looks to run up the field. Inside, a minute now to go. Action on the far sideline. Catch there made by Miloen for Freeman again. Freeman. Back for Kruger. Onto the far sideline now, Hoffman. Hoffman for Kruger again. Kruger spun the corner, looking for that far sideline again. Laffin, though, able to knock it down. Again, that's where the zone defense works, is you may think you have the pass, but all of a sudden there comes the defender to knock that disc down. Powell looking deep. He'll try it again, looking for the game. It is good! With 8 seconds to go, Jack Brash captures the final point of the game, and that'll put White Bear Lake the winners 15-6, their 5th conference championship in the last 6 years. And you can hear the crowd celebrating this conference championship as White Bear Lake again continues to add to their legacy of ultimate. and ending our SEC sports season. Again, for our entire SEC production crew, Dean Gross, Brian Henshin, Ian Felix, Lisa Senapol, Arlen Becker, and Anthony Miller, I am Alex Westhead. Thank you for joining us all season long on SEC Sports. Our final tonight, White Bear Lake over Mahtomedi 15-6. This is your home for White Bear and Mahtomedi Ultimate SEC Sports.